What's up? It's Tunnel Vision. On my way to the gym. But first, let's talk this boxing ish. Steve Kim, man, that boy got issues. Along with Dan Reffian, along with these idiots who seem to have not learned by now. I just watched a video for non-boxing, international boxing, and he was talking about how the fact that Steve Kim was talking about how tickets were being slashed for the Deontay Wilder fight. You know, when I first saw the title, I was like, why would he even say something stupid like that? Just due to the fact that we're gonna know how many tickets get sold. We're gonna know how much they make at the gate. Like, we're gonna know. You know what I'm saying? It's the Nevada Commission. It's the United States. You get all this information when it comes to gates, actual sold tickets, and then comp tickets. We get all that info. And when you look around and you try to find tickets to that Wilder fights, they're scarce. There are not that many tickets available, and they're expensive as shit. Most of them secondary market, and they're expensive as hell. You know, and he was talking about how when you go to the MGM site, there's like nothing has been cut, and there's barely any tickets left. Pretty much no tickets left. And then when you go to the secondary market, you know, with secondary market, I guess he said when he looked for tickets that were $340 and under, there were like 200 that were available for tickets that were $300 and under. You know, in the secondary market, which is I guess less than 1%, obviously, of a 20,000 square foot stadium. I mean, 20,000 seat stadium. But that's not necessarily what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that this, I guess you could say, the old media, or people with the old way of doing things, they keep trying to use the same philosophy. They keep thinking that by them talking negatively about something, that people are just going to eventually start buying into it and riding with it. They've been trying to do this for years. Even with something like the PBC, they used to trash the PBC. They used to talk about how much money they're spending. They used to talk about how they're going to go bankrupt. You know, the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, bankrupt. They try to actually downplay the fact that they're going on free TV. Steve Kim himself said that, you know, that's what free TV is for people on welfare. That's what he actually said. You know what I'm saying? As if it's a bad thing for these matches to be on regular TV. You know, ironically, now he works for ESPN, and Top Rank, you know, they put on ESPN Plus most of the time now, but, you know, they have their bouts on regular ESPN as well. And it was just an all-out assault on PBC. But the fans didn't care. They kept putting out good matches their fans wanted to see, so the viewership kept getting higher and higher and higher. The gates kept being high. You know, all these, they're almost like, I compared PBC almost now like to like the UFC, where when you look at even the second tier fighters that have fans, you know what I'm saying? And they're the only organization where, forget about the main fighters, everybody knows the second tier fighters. Everybody knows the Omar Figueroa. Everybody knows the Ugas. Everybody knows the Lipionets. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows the Washington. People know all these guys, let alone the main people. So, let alone the main people. You know what I mean? So, this whole old way of doing things, thinking that you can just, you know, eventually you're gonna force ideas into people's heads, it doesn't work. And PBC just kept flourishing, you know, to the point where now they get, you know, they still have their deal with Showtime. You know, I don't know if it's a $60, $70 million deal, and almost a $400 million deal, 300 something million when it comes from Fox, who's all in. You know, who now they get paid for their services. You know, they get paid for their services now. And ironically, when it comes to a company like DAZN, who spent more on Canelo than PBC spent in general over all those years, they're bleeding money, gushing money. Money arteries are all cut up. Money arteries cut. Shh. They don't say a word, you know? And like Fanon said, you see bouts where there's no money in the arenas. They don't say anything about it. Nothing. You know, $40-50 million being spent on fights, and they can't do Gervonta Tank Davis numbers. Gervonta Tank Davis does more numbers than anybody on the zone on a consistent basis on Showtime, facing nobodies. Nobodies. That's what he does. You know? And it goes the other way around. As much as they try to hype up Tyson Fury, as much as they try to hype up Lomachenko, as hard as they go when it comes to those fighters, Lomachenko still has to fight in the theater room when he fights in New York. You know, as little as they promote Terrence Crawford fights in the big room. Because he can fill that up. He can pull in 10,000 plus people. Loma can't. Terrence Crawford still got the highest numbers. Tyson Fury's doing 5,000 tickets sold, 3,500 sold. And it goes the other way around. When you lie about the numbers that Tyson Fury's doing, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we find out from the commission. We still find out from the commission. You know, so their way of continuously thinking that they can put things in people's minds eventually over time and have them roll with whatever they want the things to be, it hasn't worked. It's been years and it hasn't worked. And people always ask, like, you know, how come, you know, PBC doesn't have like their media that kind of combats everything that's being said? Why don't they really come out and talk, you know, a lot? Most of the time they're just quiet when it comes to things because they don't care. They look at the numbers. They see what what's happening with the arenas. You know, they got their regular fighters doing 7,000, 8,000 people. Easy. It's nothing. They're doing 1.7, 2 million, 2.2 million. It's nothing. Views. It's nothing to them. They have their numbers. They got the numbers, and they're seeing that, okay, these people are not competition. They're not even worried about those other guys. Most of the time you hear people from the zone, you hear people from ESPN, I mean, something like a Top Rank, like an Eddie Hearn, you hear these people talking whatever they're talking about PBC. You know, whatever they're talking about their fighters. You don't hear anybody from PBC talking about them usually. They don't care. You don't hear Fox usually talking about these other guys. They don't care. They're miles ahead of them. And people might not like to hear that. It's reality. It's reality. They're miles ahead of them when it comes to this. So they don't care. And the fans don't care. As much as you try to trash Wilder, as much as you try to piss on him all these years, there was an onslaught when it came to Wilder. I mean, everywhere. Videos upon videos upon videos upon videos upon videos trying to trash and bash this man. The fans don't care. They do not care. There's nothing you can do to slow that to slow that boat. It's on the ocean, 1,000 miles per hour, and nothing can stop it. Running through whatever it gets put in front of it. The fans do not care. You cannot manipulate the fans into thinking the BS that you want them to think. That's why Golovkin was never a superstar. He was never a big star. He could never do big numbers on pay-per-view unless he had Canelo Alvarez. You know? That's why, because you can't force it. You're not going to make fans what's going to want to see him. It's not going to happen. Just like you can't stop the movement of these guys. If the fans decide they like Earl Spence, they like Mikey Garcia, and they want to see that fight, and they want to fill up the stadium, 40,000 plus people, and do almost 400,000 pay-per-views, that's just what's going to happen. Doesn't matter if you say it's not pay-per-view worthy and, oh, it's only going to do 70,000. Doesn't matter if Eddie Hearn says, oh, Wilder versus Ortiz only going to do 150,000. It's still going to do 300,000 plus. It doesn't matter what you guys say. Give it up. It's over. It's over. You guys are hanging on by a thread. You're hanging on by a thread. But they continue. I guess just thinking that, hey, eventually, let's just keep on this train that hasn't worked in 5-6 years. And eventually we'll get it rolling. To each his own. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.